Out of business. Little over a year ago, Ramrao went out of work when a gramophone company, of which he was the Malgudi agent, went out of existence. He had put into that agency the little money he had inherited as security. For 5 years, his business brought him enough money, just enough to help him keep his wife and children in good comfort. He built a small bungalow in the extension and was thinking of buying an old baby car for his use. And one day it was a bolt from the blue. The crash came, a series of circumstances in the world of trade, commerce, banking, and politics was responsible for it. The gramophone company, which had its factory somewhere in North India, automatically collapsed when a bank in Lahore crashed, which was itself the result of a Bombay financier's death. The financier was driving downhill when his car flew off sideways and came to rest 300 feet below the road. It was thought that he had committed suicide because the previous night his wife eloped with his cashier. Ramrao suddenly found himself in the streets. At first, he could hardly understand the full significance of this collapse. There was a little money in the bank and he had some stock on hand. But the stock moved out slowly, the prices were going down, and he could hardly realize a few hundred rupees. When he applied for the refund of his security, there was hardly anyone at the other end to receive his application. The money in the bank was fast melting. Ramrao's wife now tried some measures of economy. She sent away the cook and the servant, withdrew the children from a fashionable nursery school, and sent them to a free primary school. And then they let out their bungalow and moved to a very small house behind the market. Ramrao sent out a dozen applications a day and wore his feet out looking for employment. For a man approaching 40, looking for employment doesn't come very easily, especially when he has just lost an independent, lucrative business. Ramrao was very businesslike in stating his request. He sent his card in and asked, I wonder, sir, if you could do something for me. My business is all gone through no fault of my own. I shall be very grateful if you can give me something to do in your office. What a pity, Ram Rao. I am awfully sorry. There is nothing at present. If there is an opportunity, I will certainly remember you. It was the same story everywhere. He returned home in the evening. His heart sank as he turned into his street behind the market. His wife would invariably be standing at the door with the children behind her, looking down the street. What anxious, eager faces they had! So much of trembling, hesitating hope in their faces. They seemed always to hope that he would come back home with some magic fulfillment as he remembered the futile way in which he searched for a job and the finality with which people dismissed him. He wished that his wife and children had less trust in him. His wife looked at his face, understood, and turned in without uttering a word. The children took the cue and filed in silently. Ramrao tried to improve matters with a forced heartiness. Well, well, how are we all today? To which he received mumbling, feeble responses from his wife and children. It rent his heart to see them in this condition. At the extension, how this girl would sparkle with flowers and a bright dress. She had friendly neighbors, a women's club, and everything to keep her happy there. But now she hardly had the heart or the need to change in the evenings, for she spent all her time cooped up in the kitchen. And then the children. The house in the extension had a compound and they roamed about with a dozen other children. It was possible to have numerous friends in the fashionable nursery school, but here the children had no friends and could play only in the backyard of the house. Their shirts were beginning to show tears and fades. Formerly, they were given new clothes once in 3 months. Ramrao lay in bed and spent sleepless nights over it. All the cash in hand was now gone. Their only source of income was a small rent they were getting for their house in the extension. They shuddered to think what would happen to them if their tenant should suddenly leave. It was in this condition that Ramrao came across a journal in the Jubilee reading room. It was called The Captain. It consisted of 4 pages, and all of them were devoted to crossword puzzles. It offered every week a first prize of 4,000 rupees.